Hey vinyl community, Brian here again, Gibson A9 on YouTube, and back for another installment of my Prog rock vinyl collection. We're kind of going through letter by letter through all the different records. We're up to letter P. We started down at that end down there. Let's see if I can get this right. That's A's down there, and we're up to P's up in this section. So Pink Floyd and a bunch of other good stuff in the P's today, so we'll look at that. I did want to start off by saying that as a teaser for an upcoming video, I thought I'd do a tour of my music room, where I've got my vinyl and my instruments and my old vintage stereo equipment. But honestly, it's a real mess right now. I've got to do some cleaning and stuff, so I will give you a teaser though of some of a find that I made the other day on Craigslist. You can maybe hear the music here, but if I can aim this here. This is a Sansui. See if I can get it around here properly. It's an old Sansui receiver and Technics receiver and some old awesome it's not working out too good. Anyway, some cool old stereo equipment that I got for dirt cheap off of Craigslist. Sounds great. Got a real fabulous deal. But anyway, I got to find a spot for it because I've already got a lot of stuff. So when I get that done, I'll do a video kind of giving you a tour of the room. But for now, enough of that. Standard view here, and we'll get started. So into the P's we go. First one would be Pentagle, Cruel Sister. And I have actually not listened to this yet. I've read about Pentagle on Prog Archives website, and I know it's maybe kind of folk proggy stuff, but haven't actually heard that one yet. So Pentagle. The next one I actually listened to last night, and for the first time in my life, it's really good stuff. This is The Geese and the Ghost by Anthony Phillips. Anthony Phillips, of course, of Genesis. And this is probably his best solo work, but Anthony Phillips, Mike Rutherford, and Phil Collins, all of Genesis. And again, this sounds like old Genesis. It's got a really good sound to it. So phenomenal album cover too. The Geese and the Ghost. And Anthony Phillips put out a number of solo projects. This was, I think, his second one. This is kind of a picture disc version here. Wise After the Event. A little squirrel there. And I picked this up, got a pretty good deal on it being a picture disc. So haven't listened to that one yet, actually. Anthony Phillips, Michael Giles of King Crimson playing drums on this. Mel Collins on sax, and Rupert Hine is also on here. So that's got to be good. I love Michael Giles' drumming. There's a lot of subtlety in his drumming. All right, so Pentagle and Anthony Phillips. So now we're on to the big hitter in the P section, of course, the classic Pink Floyd. I would consider Pink Floyd progressive rock. Their awesome use of synthesizers through all their albums. So I do not have all the Pink Floyd albums. I'm not a huge fan of the earlier Pink Floyd. I like it. It's really good music, but it's not. I don't like it as much as the classic 5, I think, albums that they put out. So I'm a little bit lacking in that department. I do have a copy of Ummagumma, and this is kind of a beat-up copy here. A lot of ring wear and such, but really cool album cover there. Ummagumma. Saucer Full of Secrets, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. There's some good stuff on this one. Again, a bit of a different sound than their 5 classics. Here's Atom Heart Mother. Really nice copy of that. I picked up in France. It's actually, if I get this up here, you can see it right here. Pathé Marconi. It's the French pressing of this from what, about 1970 maybe. I don't have Obscured by Clouds. I don't have Saucer Full of Secrets and some of the earlier stuff, but on to the ones that I really love, the more classic ones here. Metal. Phenomenal album. Pink Floyd Metal, of course, containing the epic song Echoes, which I think is probably among their best works ever. One of my favorite prog songs of any type. This also is a European pressing of Metal. Ironically, I have a European pressing of Metal and I have a Japanese pressing of Metal. There's the Japanese with the obi. But no standard US copy of that on Harvest, which is kind of strange. So, and slightly different coloring on those, but I just love that album. Even the other side, Saint-Tropez, and some of those songs are kind of odd, but really a peaceful sound to it. But Echoes is just a masterpiece there. Playing in the background, of course, the all-time classic Dark Side of the Moon, very first Pink Floyd album I ever heard. A buddy of my dad's found out when I was young, maybe 10 or 12, that I was into music. I really liked music, so he sent 5 or 10 albums over to my dad, one of which was this, and one of which was Yes, Fragile. And I always remember hearing those two having a big impact on me, so maybe that's why I'm a prog guy now. So Jack Hawkins, wherever you are, thank you. Here's a Japanese copy of Dark Side I picked up when I was in Japan last year. Nice pressing of that. Of course, you know, everybody knows that album. It's one of the most highest selling albums of all time, but boy, what a classic it is. Just not a bad song on it. True classic. This is some people's favorite work from Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. And this copy is a little bit stained and all. It's still in its original shrink wrap with the original stickers on here. Let's see what that says. This album is also available as a Master Sound half-speed master audiophile record, which I wish I had, but I don't. But boy, Wish You Were Here and Shine On Crazy Diamond. Awesome artwork from Hypnosis. It's classic. Great stuff. And most of you young folks on Vinyl Community, you know this stuff, you've heard of these albums, and you recognize how good they are, so that's a good thing. Pink Floyd Animals. Boy, this is I like this one. I don't know, this one's got a darker sound to it, but I've always loved Animals. Just some wonderful music on here. Pigs on the Wing, Dogs and Sheep. 1977. This is, you know, again, of their classic, I would call their classic 5 albums, Metal, Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and The Wall. So, incredible. And of course, you know, I really hit it big on Floyd when I was in Japan, but Japanese copy of Animals. I always like these obi strips, they're pretty cool. And the classic, The Wall. Amazing album, The Wall. Double album, concept album. Roger Waters by that point had sort of taken over the creativity of the band, and kind of a dark place he was in his life when he wrote this thing. Pretty weird, but amazing music on there. And actually had the good fortune to see had the good fortune to see Roger Waters' The Wall tour this summer, and that was amazing. The full Wall stage set and all that he built. If you ever get a chance to see that live show, you definitely need to go see it. So, okay, moving along. the final cut. I do not have a copy of the final cut. Still looking for a good copy in a reasonable price range, and I'll pick it up eventually. Momentary Lapse of Reason from '87. Don't have that one either, I'm ashamed to say. Again, looking for a good copy of that. I went and saw that tour in '87, '88 time frame in Raleigh, North Carolina. Incredible show. Of course, Roger Waters was gone by that point, but amazing sound. To me, David Gilmour and Richard Wright's harmony singing has really made a lot of the Pink Floyd sound. That and Richard Wright's synth work, which is underrated, but of course Gilmour's amazing guitar playing. But the next one I've got, though, is Delicate Sound of Thunder, and that's a wonderful packaging. Again, I think Hypnosis did that. It's a gatefold, and that was in '88. So, Delicate Sound of Thunder. They always had the coolest album covers, just really weird stuff. Alright, so that is Pink Floyd, at least what I own from Pink Floyd. There's a lot of people out there in the vinyl community that have bootlegs and really cool stuff by Floyd, but that's just kind of the basics with, you know, a couple Japanese pressings here and there. So, final group for the Peas is an Italian prog group, and in fact one of the big three Italian progressive rock groups, Premiata Fornieri Marconi, which means the premier Marconi bakery in Italian. Not sure why they named it that, but it's kind of hard to say, so people shortened it to PFM. So a lot of times you'll hear it referred to as PFM, but PFM, Le Orme, and Banco de Mutuo Soccorso are considered the three big names in Italian prog, and there's good reason why. Their early stuff is just absolutely amazing. So PFM was discovered by Emerson, Lake and Palmer in the early '70s, and ELP liked what they heard, so they brought them on board to Manticore Records, which was ELP's label, and so they re-released some of their earlier albums on Manticore with some English names. And actually they got Pete Sinfield to do some of the lyric writing for them in the English. So the first one that was released, I guess, on Manticore is Photos of Ghosts. And this is an amazing album, and I think it's a remake in English of Storia de... I can't even remember the name of the... I can picture the album cover, but I can't remember how to pronounce it. But yeah, so PFM, Photos of Ghosts, and if I take this out, this is a gatefold. Here's the inner sleeve, but yeah, Pete Sinfield did the lyrics on almost all of these, which is pretty amazing. So, but incredible synthesizer work, incredible epic progressive music that, you know, would remind you of Emerson, Lake and Palmer or Yes or anyone like that. Just if you've never heard Italian prog, a lot of people are put off by the Italian lyrics, but on these albums they actually sang it in English. So some people might be put off by English lyrics sung with a heavy Italian accent, but try to overlook that. The music is phenomenal. So next one by PFM is The World Became the World, and again this is a reissue of they had two classic albums in maybe '71, '72, and Photos of Ghosts and The World Became the World are reissues of those. So this one's a reissue of L'Isola di Niente, I believe is the name of it. And again on Manticore. The song The World Became the World, though, is just amazing. It has one of the all-time classic Moog synthesizer breaks. Just a big swell of synthesizer that's just glorious sounding. So those two are kind of must-haves. You can find those in U.S. record stores since they were released in the U.S. Same for this one. This is a live album, PFM Cook, and Rob Paniques. We packaged up your copy of this. It's in the mail to you. But this is an amazing live album. I think recorded at Madison Square Garden. No, in Toronto. Toronto University, August 22nd of 1974. So kind of PFM in their heyday. Some of their other albums later on moved away from kind of the classic prog sound, so that's another one you can find if you look for it. Here's one I picked up in Asheville last month at in the dollar bins, which I was delighted with, but it's a little bit harder to find. But this is Jet Lag by PFM. So by this time they're just going with PFM on the name, but Jet Lag. And again, this is maybe the last of their work before they really started changing their sound. Good synth work on here as well. And I think they had changed lead singers by this point. They have Bernardo Lanzetti was the vocalist on this one. Very strong lead singer. So if you ever see this one laying around, this is the US cover. And I think the European cover was also a paper airplane, but sort of angled downward. But you know, I was flipping through that dollar bin, just a lot of junk, and all of a sudden saw this and was very happy. So so that's it. Pentagle, Anthony Phillips, Pink Floyd, and PFM. Now there's a lot of other great P bands in Prague, but I just don't have any, so that's all I've got for P. So anyway, thank you guys. If you've hung in there this far through the video, you're really a trooper. So we're most of the way, 3/4 of the way anyway, through the Prague section. Although we haven't gotten to Yes, and when we get to Yes, we will. We got a bunch of Yes stuff because I'm a Yes guy. Matt Gregory, if you're out there listening, we got Rush coming up maybe next video, so stay tuned. Thanks guys.